Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Community Works. I'm Bernadette Welsh, your host. Well, we usually interview nonprofits on Community Works, but today we're going to do something different, something special, something even better. We're going to interview a local North Haven man named Mark Genovese. He is a retired Marine sergeant. He is a retired captain in the North Haven Police Force. He has degrees in public administration and all kinds of citations and things, and a few little reprimands now and there. But he's a very, very interesting man. This is his second appearance this year on Community Works because he wants to emphasize more of the important aspects of his book, why he wrote it, and why it's so important. And so, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Mark Genovese.
Hi.
Hi, Mark.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Very good.
Good. I'm glad you're here. So, like I was explaining in my intro, this is your second time back. And the first time you were here, you were with a Dr. Katie from the Yale School of Medicine. And she was talking all about Parkinson's disease. And you were talking about the book, back, forth. And you said, Bernadette, I think I should do another show.
Yes.
And why? Why do you think we needed to do this show?
Because the first show focused on Parkinson's disease. I don't want to focus on Parkinson's disease. I want to focus on why I wrote the book and the reasons I wrote the book. The motivation to write the book was Parkinson's disease. That was my motivation, but that's not the reasons why I wrote the book. The reasons I wrote the book was to enlighten people about police officers and Marines. We do the work and other people get the fame from it.
This is true. That is true.
We don't get recognized. That's what happens with police officers. We get recognized when something goes wrong.
Although every once in a while there are, recognition nights where people get citations for doing good things. But I see your point, Mark. A lot of times the cameras, the newspaper people, everybody rushes to hear the bad news, the bad story, that somebody made a mistake.
Right.
And I think you're trying to say that there are a lot of good people out there doing good stuff. And most of the time, they're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah. Most policemen and firemen do the best job they can. And they're always there 24/7. They're ready for any emergency. Like in the book, I always ran toward danger. I didn't run away from it.
Takes courage. That takes bravery.
I don't know if it's courage or bravery or stupidity.
Well, or your training to teach you that your job is there to fix the problem, not run away from the problem.
Right.
I think that's how your parents probably taught you that when you were a boy, right?
Right.
Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Otherwise, you get in trouble at home. Who wants to get in trouble at home? Nobody.
But
Nobody wants to get in trouble at home. At least I didn't want to get in trouble with my dad. I bet you didn't want to get in trouble with your dad either.
I didn't ever want to get in trouble with my father.
Yeah, there you go.
My father was a Marine too.
Oh, that's right. We're going to come to that. We're going to ask you a few questions that lead up to all of the things that you wanted to share.
Right.
Okay, so now we talked about why we're doing another show to emphasize the everyday people and wonderful idea. So now let's review the storyline of the book. I'm not famous, and I don't ever expect to be. There it is. And we're going to, even though we talked about it last time, if you could just remind folks, Mark, the book doesn't tell your whole life, but it goes up to a certain point.
Correct. The book starts when I'm leaving for boot camp, and it goes through my Marine career, and it goes through my police career up to the point when I'm a lieutenant. And it just tells stories that have happened to me during those times. And some of it is pretty famous stuff that happened. I was part of the peace talks in Israel when they were talking peace with Sadat and Begin for Egypt and Israel. And the Marines were there, and nobody ever recognized that they were Marines. We were in suits, we were armed, and you wouldn't know that we were Marines. You would have thought we were Secret Service or some other agency.
Sure, or even just other diplomats nobody would have known that you were really Marines.
Correct.
And you wouldn't want anybody to know in that instance that you
No.
guys were, packing and you were Marines and that you could
Correct.
take somebody out if you had to.
Correct.
Right. I love that. Okay, so that we've gone through the storyline. You start when you joined the Marine Corps. You ended the book before you ended your career with the North Haven Police Department.
Correct.
And I think you point that out on the very last page of your book. It says, I will also be promoted to captain and serve in the department for 35 years. I will end the book at this point. Future years hold material for additional books.
Yes.
The end, almost. Almost, folks. So we know what that means. But that is where the book ends.
Right.
Okay, so we touched on why the title. Why did you pick this title? But Mark, could you elaborate on that? Why is the book entitled I'm Not Famous and I Don't Ever Expect to Be?
I chose the title because the little guy, the Marine that fights the wars, the police officer that does his job every day, they're always in the background. The guy that's famous, like you can calculate his batting average of a pro baseball player, but you can't calculate the average of a police officer if he saves somebody's life by arresting a drunk driver.
Good point.
You can't tell if he saved a car of 6 people from getting in a crash by pulling them over for speeding. There's no way to calculate that. There's no platform for them to get on it and tell their story. Stars have a platform. The famous people have a platform every day to tell their story and get it across and make themselves more famous. Police officer and a Marine, they just go about their business every day and they do what has to be done. They don't brag about it. They don't talk about it. They just do the job that they have to do.
Isn't it almost verboten for a police officer to brag about himself or for a Marine to say how great they are? Wouldn't your fellow Marines or police officers say, we don't do that. Self-praise stinks. Right?
Yeah, we don't keep score on how many people we arrested or
right.
stuff like that. People think we go out there and we're looking to stop as many cars as we can. I hated arresting people.
Yeah, it's not pleasant.
No, it's not pleasant at all. You're taking their freedom away.
Yeah.
And the issue in our country is to be free and do what we want to do when we want to do it. So
yes.
That's
people forget that with freedom comes responsibility.
right.
And so we're all yay, hooray for freedoms, and you can't tell me what to do. But sometimes you have to follow the rules because if you don't, people can die, people can get hurt, innocent people who just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time.
And as a Marine embassy guard, I had to guard a lot of secret material.
We were talking about that the other day.
That was going on.
But we're going to get to that question in a little bit. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves, Mark. Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to show some pictures, and Mark's going to have the pleasure of explaining some of this stuff to us. Okay, now this is a very old photograph, Mark, and I think the folks might get confused. What are we looking at here?
That's a chicken that we threw into one of the Marines' rooms, and then we took him out drinking, because Marines go bar hopping. That chicken actually drank beer. If you look closely, there's a Budweiser can, and my friend is feeding the chicken Budweiser.
Okay.
And I'm the one in the brown shirt holding the chicken down.
Yeah, well, we're going to see a better shot of that next. There you are. Now we can see you.
And that's me at 21 years old in Tel Aviv, Israel, holding a chicken down, feeding him beer.
So you guys didn't always obey all of the etiquette type rules. I would imagine you guys got away with some stuff.
Well, as a Marine, it was a tough duty sometimes, and every now and then we needed to relax and have some fun, and we had some fun with that chicken. So if you read the book, you'll find out why the chicken is in there and why he's drinking beer.
Okay, that's a good reason to read the book. I like that. Okay, what's next? Oh, I love this picture because when you visited me one time, Mark, and my son Billy was in the room, he we recognize some of those DARE officers.
Yep.
And could you remind folks what DARE did in the schools? I think back in the 80s, was it, Mark, that the DARE program got started?
Yes, it began in the 80s, and Debbie Possig, the woman in the front, was the first DARE officer.
And I see you're the one standing in the background. And who are the two other officers?
The other officers are Bob Bissell and Dave Landino.
And my son reminded me that you folks came in there and taught them about why it was important for them not to do drugs.
DARE was Drug Abuse Resistance Education, is what DARE stood for.
Okay, what are we going to see next? Oh, I love this one because I recognize two of the other men in that picture. So who are they?
That's me being sworn in as a police officer. It was September 1981.
And that's First Selectman
Walter Gorwich and Paul Abercrombie. He was the chairman of the police commission at the time.
Okay, what do we have next? That looks like an award.
1993, I was a police officer of the year, Community Citizen Award given by the Grange.
That's wonderful, very wonderful. Now this is an even older picture of you with your buddies in the Marine Corps.
Yes, this is my Marine Corps detachment in Tel Aviv, Israel. The man in the white coat is Samuel Lewis. He's the ambassador of the United States to Israel. Gunnery Sergeant was my NCOIC, or non-commissioned officer in charge, and I'm right behind him. And what's happening is we were chosen as the best detachment in the battalion, and they give us that award to hold on to for a year. We had that award for 5 years in a row.
And I think you were telling me when we were chatting that you've stayed in touch with a lot of these men.
Yes, we've stayed in touch with 8 of the 13 that are in there, and we have reunions every couple of years.
And this looks like a recent picture. Who are you with here, Mark?
That's the fair just yesterday or the day before in North Haven, and those are 2 North Haven police officers. I stay in touch with them all the time. We go to baseball games together. I still teach firearms to some of them. I'm pretty good at figuring out what's wrong with somebody who has a problem shooting.
Okay.
Because that's what I did as a police officer.
Right. Is it sometimes their aim is off or they're
not using the trigger squeeze correctly, or they're gripping it too hard, or
Yep, for sure, that makes sense.
So they can't hit what they're shooting at.
Yeah.
So I fix them.
And then of course there's a kickback, and sometimes you're not ready for that.
They're afraid of the gun.
Yeah, well, makes sense to me. Okay, folks, we're back again, looking at those great pictures. Thank you, Mark, for describing them to us. I'm sure that chicken picture is going to encourage a lot of people to want to read how the chicken got his head into the beer can. Naughty, 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 but very funny, very funny. Okay, so you have written this autobiography, Mark, and it's not your average folks' autobiography. And so, Mark, how is your book different from, let's say, a biography about Golda Meir or, another political figure, or even a rock star or anybody like that?
My book is different because I just talk about my career as a professional. The only other thing I talk about is the 3 women that I almost married and did finally marry.
I think you married one of them. I think you did.
Yes, I did.
You did.
And I don't really brag about myself that much. I contacted almost everybody whose name is in there so that I could use their name. There's only 3 that are fictitious names because those people did not want me to use their name. Even the 2 girlfriends, I contacted them and told them what I was writing and showed them what I was writing, and they approved of it.
Yes, and they showed you those not the right women for you, but there's a lady here that is the right woman for you, and that's Karen.
That's right.
She is your wife, and that's wonderful. So I understand. It's different because you're not bragging, you're explaining. You're showing what police officers do, what Marines do,
right.
The fun you had, the challenges you had, and I think that is different from other autobiographies. It's descriptive.
Yeah, I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about what those people did, what people like me do, what we go through, what a Marine goes through, what a police officer goes through, and what they have to deal with all the time. We were talking the other day about it.
Yeah.
As a Marine, you really don't know where you're going. You don't know what your assignment's going to be. You go where the Marine Corps tells you to go. You do what the Marine Corps tells you to do.
Yep.
As a police officer, you respond to incidents. You don't know what the day's going to bring. You don't know what's going to happen from hour to minute.
Yeah.
It's just
unpredictable.
fluid and unpredictable.
For sure.
So.
Yeah, I get that. I really get that. Okay, so I understand what motivated you to write your book, to talk about the everyday person, man, woman who goes into a field that is not glamorous.
Right.
Not glamorous.
And I also wrote it to motivate veterans to understand that even though you have a disability like Parkinson's disease, or you've lost a hand or something, you can't give up. You got to keep fighting. You got to keep trying. So I have Parkinson's disease. I'm not allowed to work like that as a policeman anymore. So I wrote a book, and I'm going to write another book. And if that one works, I'm going to write another book after that. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep fighting the disease. And I told you the other day, I expect to live to 100.
Oh, I think that's fabulous. Why not? Why not live to be 100?
I'm going to enjoy life for as long as I can enjoy it. And I'm not going to let Parkinson's disease stop me from doing the things that I want to do. And I want to make that clear to veterans and police officers. If something happens to you, don't give up. Don't ever give up. Don't stop. Keep going.
That makes a lot of sense. I think once you park yourself in front of the TV set and you decide you're not going to go outside anymore,
Right.
You're almost saying, I'm done.
Yeah.
And you don't want anybody to do that, and your book is exemplary of that.
Right.
You're using this book to keep your mind active, and I know you're also very active in the community. You and Karen do wonderful things in the community,
Yes.
and you get out of the house and you do things.
We get out of the house and we do a lot of things. We're actually co-chair of the North Haven High School Sports Hall of Fame, and I'm active with the Marine Corps League, and we're actually planning a hike September 21st. It's in all the newspapers.
Where's the hike going to be, Mark?
In Glastonbury.
Okay, is it a kind of an easy hike, or is it?
No.
No? It's
No.
not easy?
It's a veterans-only hike,
Okay.
and it's 22 kilometers, and the reason it's 22 kilometers is because 22 veterans commit suicide every day, and we're trying to make awareness of that and trying to put an end to it. And we already have 206 people signed up for the hike.
Wow.
Which means 206 veterans are going to get together and talk to each other
Yeah.
and
Reminisce.
reminisce.
Stay out of trouble.
My younger brother is coming all the way from New Mexico to
Wow.
participate in the hike. He was a Marine. I have two friends from Tel Aviv that are coming. One's coming from Texas, one's coming from Virginia. And
Oh,
they're
that's so cool.
participating in the hike. We tried to get several others from the Tel Aviv detachment, but they had prior engagements. So
Right. Well, you know, whenever you have a good event, some people can come and some people can't come. It's normal when you organize something. Everybody can't come.
once I get them coming, they come all the time. Though.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's almost like you got to get them that first time, and then they realize how valuable it is, and then they make sure that they put the date on the calendar for
Right.
next year in their gizmo or whatever the
Right.
heck they do, or their planner or whatever it
Correct.
is. I get it. Okay. Why did you choose the Marine Corps? Why not the Army, the Navy, the Air Force? Why the Marines?
I don't think I pretty much had a choice.
Why not?
But after talking to my uncle, who was a Marine, my father and mother, who were both Marines, it was kind of a family tradition. But the Marine Corps offers you more than most of all the other services. They're the smallest service, and they have the most things. We have an air wing. We go to sea. We're part of the Navy. We do everything that the Army does, and we do everything that the Air Force does. We have helicopters, jets, and it gave me more opportunity, and I wanted to be in law enforcement, and that's how I became a Marine security guard.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
So I figured I would have more opportunity in the Marine Corps to do that, and it turned out I did. So.
And I remember reading in the book that whenever they offered a class or a special thing, do you want to learn this, do you want to learn that? The other guys go, no, don't do that. And you go, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
One of the things you learn in boot camp is never volunteer for anything, because you don't know what they're asking you to volunteer for.
Yeah, it could be to clean all the bathrooms.
Yeah, it could be clean all the bathrooms. It could be worse than that.
It could be worse than that. Yeah, we won't go there though.
Yeah.
But anyway, but you didn't shy away from that.
No, I wanted to be trained. I wanted to get as much training as I could and learn as much as I could as a youngster. I wasn't a really good student in high school, so I figured the Marine Corps was paying for it. My mother wasn't chasing me around to do it. So
did you do your homework, Mark?
Yeah. I didn't have to bring homework home.
You didn't have to say your dog ate your homework. Yeah, I get it.
We didn't have homework. We just did the stuff
just practical applications.
Correct.
Can you take this gun apart and put it back together again?
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
They make you do that? Yeah, I heard an Army guy tell me that's what they made him do. Can you take the gun apart? How fast can you do it? And some guys are pretty fast at taking the gun apart and put it back together again.
Yeah, I got very good at it.
I don't quite get why that's important, but I guess it is. I don't know. Why?
The
why is that important?
The reason it's important is if your gun fails in combat, you need to take it apart and find out why it failed.
Yeah.
And if usually it's the ammunition, a casing is stuck in the gun somewhere.
Yeah, there's a blockage.
That's usually what causes it. So if you can take the gun apart and get the casing out and get it back in to the fight, so to say, then you're better off than just sitting there and
waiting to die, right?
Becoming a victim.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. Okay, so the other thing that you alluded to was one of your assignments was when you were in a building and you shared that building with people who did not have proper security clearances.
Right.
That one of your jobs before the end of the day was to make sure all the documents were back in the safe and locked. And why is that? Why did you tell me that was so very important?
Well, every embassy has a military attaché, and they're notified of everything that goes on in the military. So if, say we were going to go bomb Egypt for something, this is just a for instance. I'm just grabbing one country, and I don't have anything against them.
Right. You're just using it as an example.
Just using it as an example. The embassies would be notified of that through a document. It would be shipped to the embassy or sent and typed out on a document. So if the document was left out and one of the cleaning personnel who has no security clearance to read that document was to get it and be an agent for another government.
Yeah, sell it.
They would know that we were attacking Egypt on such and such a date, and they would tell them, and they would be ready for us, and it would be bad for our military.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand why things are labeled top secret, or why you can't just leave them around the bathroom or, lying out around. Things have to be locked up, and only certain people can see it, and certain people can't. And, okay, that's a very good point. But I want to get to this next question because I like it so much.
Okay.
You served in Israel and you served in Poland. Why did you prefer Israel to Poland?
Well, in Poland, at the time it was a communist country. I had to wait in line for everything, and you didn't know what you were waiting in line for. And the food was horrible, to say the least. I ate so much Polish kielbasa that I do not eat it anymore.
I don't blame you. And in Israel...
In Israel, it was totally opposite. The sun was shining. We were right on the ocean, the Mediterranean, actually. There were palm trees. There were sandy beaches. There was plenty of fruit and vegetables.
Yeah.
In Poland...
It was cold, right?
I never had an orange in Poland the whole time I was there.
No, you
It
didn't.
snowed from September to June.
Oh my goodness.
And it wasn't a pretty snow because they heated their houses with coal.
So it got black real fast.
So it got black.
Yeah.
It was dingy looking.
Yeah, I could appreciate why you might like sunny Israel over cold as you probably, yeah. And also, I think you also had more interesting assignments, and everybody was a little bit more relaxed, and you got to feed the chicken beer, and all kinds of great things.
Yeah.
Great things
I got
happened.
to see girls in bikinis carrying rifles.
Well, we're not going to talk about that, Mark.
Okay.
But I could see where young Marines would really like that. They would really like that a lot.
You know.
Okay, we're coming towards the end of the show, and I know you've got some future plans and activities. So, in a little bit of time, could you tell us what do you, other than we know that you're writing your second book?
Yeah.
And I think you've got the title for it. Will you care to share the title?
The title is I'm Still Not Famous.
Okay, that makes sense. But you still want to tell everybody about the important stuff.
It's actually I'm Not Famous Still at the bottom.
Okay.
And the bottom is going to be like highlighted. Still is going to be.
And
it's going to be the same kind of
graphics.
Same kind of graphics, but the last on the bottom will be still in big bright.
I'm gonna have to hold this stupid thing up there like that. There you go. Oh no. Here we go.
Big,
I told you I always make a mistake.
Big bright letters will say still.
Still.
S-T-I-L-L.
I love it. I love it. I'm sorry, folks. You know, what can I say? I got mixed up. Okay, so I have the final question that I was very surprised when you gave me your answer, but I'd like you to share this with our viewers because I think they're going to be inspired by your answer. Mark, if you could change anything in your life, if you had the ability to change something in your life, whether it was going to Camp Lejeune where we all know there was problems with the water or any of your time, if you could change anything, what would you change?
Not a thing.
Not a thing. That's a remarkable answer. Why?
Because I've had a great life. I would have never wrote a book if I didn't have Parkinson's. I wouldn't be here right now with you.
That's true. Okay, that is amazing. Well, that says it all. Did you want to add anything to that? Because he's telling me in my ear that we got to wrap it up.
No,
That's good. Most people I know would say, oh, I wish I hadn't done this and I wish I hadn't done that. And, oh, if I could take that, only take that back. And Mark's not saying that. He's saying that the way he lived his life is something that he's proud of. And that the things that happened to him, he's not boo-hooing it. He's saying, I am taking, who I am, and I'm doing good things with it. So I'm very proud that we had Mark back, and he was right. We did need to do a second show and talk about the book. If you want to get a copy of it, let me know. I'll put you in touch with Mark. We're nearly not here to sell books. We're here to talk about the importance of Mark's life, what he's continuing to do, and how he cares about Marines and veterans and firefighters and all those other important jobs that nobody brags about because it's just everyday things, but they're important everyday things. So thanks, everybody, for watching Community Works. Thank you, Mark, for being on the show.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you again next time.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.